What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. You know who it is by now,
Jimothy.
So ladies and gents, I hope you had a beautiful Christmas as I did. Well, it wasn't the best, mainly because I haven't been too well, but we're not going to get too much into that. All you need to know is that we're back on the grind for 2022 and onwards, ladies and gents. Now, I decided to do a bit of a deck profile and a deck that I haven't quite finished yet. Because of the Christmas period, the mail is a little bit slower than usual, which means there are a lot of cards that are kind of like stuck in transits, for want of a better word. So I am kind of missing a few hand traps for this deck, but the deck that we're going to be profiling today is Floowandereeze. Now, this is an interesting deck, mainly because the way that it plays, unfortunately, there's not really a different way to play the deck, just because of the nature of the deck. But anyway, we'll get into it anyway, and I'll explain as I go along. So we're running 3 Rubina. Rubina is your searcher for your smaller winged beast monsters, and if you didn't know, ladies and gents, all the Floowandereeze cards prevent you from special summoning the turn you activate any of their effects. So you are actually locked into normal summonings, but you do get quite a few normal summons, so to speak. So triple Rubina, just to be able to search into our level 4 or lower winged beast monsters. We're also playing triple Eaglin. Eaglin helps us to search into our level 7 or higher. Basically, this one gets you the big bird. This is probably what your opponent's going to hit if you're going to get hit with a hand trap. This deck does chain block like crazy, so expect infinite impermanence and expect effect failure. So triple Eaglin. We are also running double Takan, as well as 1 Stree. Takan reoccurs some of your resources that are banished, Floowandereeze resources specifically, and Stree banishes a card from the graveyard. Now, if you actually get this in rotation early, along with your Dimension Shifter, which I am playing in the deck, spoiler alert, you can actually just loop Dimension Shifter, which is crazy, because you'll just have no cards in graveyard, providing you play your cards right, and it just means that your opponent can't play, basically. So 1 Stree, nice couple of targets there. We're also running, obviously, goes without saying, 1 barrier statue. This is almost like surviving a turn, basically. If you get this on board, your opponent is forced to kind of like attack into it, unless they're playing bird up, obviously, which is then it's a bit more of a problem. But 1 barrier statue. Onto our bigger birds. We're playing double M-Pen. This card is crazy. It took me a while to read this and understand what was going on. So basically, your opponent can't activate special summon monsters effects if they're special summoned in attack position, and if it does get attacked into, then you can banish a card from your hand to half that a monster's attack. Obviously, it doesn't target, so you can kind of get over Dragoon actually, which is a little bit annoying. But it also can search a card on its normal summon, or tribute summon, should I say. So definitely a power card. The reason you want 2, mainly because you should end up on 1 on your first turn if you're going first, and then you've got another one for follow up should you want to search into some of your other Floowandereeze cards. So definitely 2 M-Pen. You can actually get away with playing 1 if you loop it correctly, but yeah. I'm also playing 1 Riser and 1 Mist Valley Apex Avian. When I get to the end, ladies and gents, I'll actually talk about a few techs and a few things that I've been messing about with. Now, like I said, this deck is not finished. I am waiting for some more cards, mainly some defensive cards in the forms of hand traps. So this is not the finished build. This is just what I've been playing around with over the Christmas period. But we got 1 Riser and 1 Mist Valley Apex Avian. We got a negate and a spin. This card's crazy. Riser's crazy in this deck. Onto our hand trap. So I'm doing something slightly different for the most part at the moment. So we're running triple Dimension Shifter. This can just skip your opponent's turn. It's just that impactful. Not many decks can play on the Dimension Shifter, and this is one of the decks that can do it. There's normally 1 deck in the format that can just play on the Dimension Shifter, but at the moment, Floowandereeze is the only one that can really effectively do so. All the other decks kind of need their graveyard in some way, apart from Sword Soul, who can do bits and pieces without their graveyard. So triple Dimension Shifter, again, very, very powerful hand trap. I am actually also running 2 Floowandereeze the Ancient Ascended. Now, this is a bit of a spot filler for, I think I'm waiting on some Ash Blossoms and some a couple of hand traps, I think Ghost Ball or something like that. But Floowandereeze just prevents targeting, so Like I said, you can chain block really well in this deck, but your monsters are susceptible to infinite impermanence and effect Veiler. Now, if you're under D-Shifter, effect Veiler is not a problem, but infinite impermanence seems to be everywhere, and this card can negate that activation, which basically allows your plays to go through. So I'm actually running 2 because, like I said before, ladies and gents, they're going to want to stop your Eagling because that stops you from getting to your bigger birds, which are a lot more impactful compared to some of the smaller ones that you're normally going to be summoning. So double Cerberus. Next on to the spells, we're playing a triple field spell. I was running a terraforming as well to search it, but what I found is if you play into Droll, this deck dies to Droll, by the way. If you play into Droll, it's a bit of a problem. So I thought just go with the 3 field spell. Don't worry about terraforming, because in a pinch you can actually search this off M-Pen. So yeah, triple map. It also gives you an additional normal summon, basically by banishing a Floowandereeze monster from your deck and then immediately normal summoning. So it's very useful and it allows you to play on your opponent's turn, hence why we're maxing out on it. I can put the terraforming back in, ladies and gents, but I'm just testing with that at the moment. We're also running 1 Floowandereeze and the Unexplored Winds. This is a mulligan as well as some non-targeting, non-destruction removal. It can distribute over spells, traps that your opponent controls, monsters. It's fantastic. Definitely a powerful card right there. I'm also actually running a bit of an experimental card in 2-Wing Requital. Now, it is very easy to get this card off. Like I said, you do want to be able to kind of like pop off, and the Cerberus actually helps to facilitate this card, because if you see this along with some of your smaller birds, you should be able to get at least 1 and potentially 2 on board, providing you play through hand traps. And this is just a free draw +1 basically. You just get to draw 2 cards while paying 600 life points, which is just a joke in itself. You basically have to have 2 winged beast monsters with different original names. So yeah, it's not that difficult in this deck, considering the majority of the deck is winged beasts. Also, we are running triple Pot of Duality. Does not hurt this deck in the slightest. You could run Extravagance over the Winged Requital. I do have Extravagance. I haven't put it in this deck, mainly because I don't know where it is. Simple as that. It's around somewhere. It's in some deck that I've been playing. I think it's in Cosmos, and I don't even know where I've put that. So anyway, we're also running Book of Moon, 3 of those guys. Again, it allows you to dodge hand traps like Impermanent Veiler, basically, because those are the ones that are really going to cripple you. It's obviously Drawn and Lockbird does as well, but just being able to book one of your monsters to be able to then get its effect off is probably something that you want to do, and it's also an interruption going second. So yeah. Next, for some more defensive cards, we're running triple Forbidden Chalice. I don't like Scythe. I don't like monsters on field. I don't like DPE. I want to get rid of it. So this just helps to just like bait out some kind of interruption, basically. So triple Chalice. And we're also running the 1 Gold Sark, simple as that. This just gets your engine going, can banish 1 from your deck to be able to then just chain block and just go off with your play. So yeah. Next, on to the traps. We are running 1 Floowandereeze and the Dreaming Town, and 1 Floowandereeze and a Scary Sea. 1 negates special summons and allows your opponent that special summon for the rest of that turn. That monster returns back to their hand, but they do get up to 3 normal summons per turn, and 1 allows you to normal summon on your opponent's turn and just pop off with plays, basically. So very useful cards. I am testing both of them. You could probably drop 1, to be honest, but like I said, it requires a little bit more testing, in my opinion. I think the Scary Sea counter trap's a little bit stronger just because it can negate a summon. So yeah. And then for some generic protection, should I say, we're running triple Solemn Judgment, because they're gonna go after your back row, specifically your field spell, which allows your opponent to play, which allows you to play on your opponent's turn. So double Solemn Judgment. You could potentially bump this up to 3, to be honest. Also running double Solemn Strike. Yes, I'm running mixed rarities. It is what it is. As well as the 1 Macro Cosmos, just for a bit more disruption. Like I said, your opponent's going to want to get rid of these. We're going to want to get rid of your field spell, and not going to want to play it under a Macro Cosmos in the form of this ND Shifter. So if you see this, it's nice. It is nice. And that is it for the main deck, ladies and gents. Like I said, I am waiting on some hand traps. Now, in terms of extra deck, ladies and gents, you can play whatever you like because you very, very rarely go into your extra deck. But just for some things to note, there's a couple of cards that I'm going to put here and a couple that I'm going to put on screen. So I've got Shirag as well as Fergit the Baron Blossom and Lyrilusk Assembled Nightingale. Now you can actually run these in your extra deck, and I do run these in my extra deck. I'd never actually make them, but the reason why we've gone for the Tri-Brigade stuff is basically if you get sent to the graveyard, if your opponent's playing like Shadow Invoke Dogmatica, for example, and they Maximus you can actually pitch these, mulligan your hand and put back one, or you can actually get a search off Shirag if you've got any of your banished Floowandereeze cards, which is quite likely, to be honest. The Lyrilusk Assembled Nightingale is there just to be able to go into Zeus, which you can do. You can play Zeus in this deck. You don't have to use your effects in order to be able to play the game, basically. Your Floowandereeze effects, so you can actually just forget using your Floowandereeze effects. Go straight into Lyrilusk Nightingale, attack directly, Downed Magician and Zeus. So those are a couple of options for you. You can also put Entis in, Cyframe, Lord Omega, just a note. It's up to you, ladies and gents. Just fill it up. You're going to be probably using either Prosperity, which is another card I would suggest that you play in this deck, or you're going to be drawing off Extravagance. So yeah. And that is it for the profile. Now, before we go, I wanted to give some honorable mentions because, like I said, I have tested this deck very, very sparsely, but there's a few things that I wanted to note. So a couple of tech cards. So most people don't play Snarl. I like Snarl, not because it gives you 3 additional normal summons, because by the time you get to Snarl, you've probably done all your effects anyway. But I just like its Book and Moon effect and its piercing damage. It's a little bit like Ultimate Conductor Tyranno, where it can just book all your opponent's monsters. So it's really, really useful. Harpy's Featherstorm needs no introduction. This card is probably going to get hit on the ban list, to be honest. Quiet Life is a nice little tech. So if you normal or special summon, the turn player who normals or special summon can do one or two things. If you special summon, you can't normal summon. If you normal summon, you can't special summon. Now obviously Floowandereeze do not normal summon, but your opponent probably going to want to special summon. Now if you've got Barrier Statue on field and you've got this on field, you put them in a precarious position because they need to out the Barrier Statue, and in most instances they have to normal summon to be able to do so. So then they're locked out special summoning, which is an interesting feat. So Quiet Life is interesting, as well as lose one turn, which puts your opponent's monsters into defense position, their special summon monsters, and it actually negates their effects. So these are 4 tech cards that you could potentially include, especially if you know you're going first. I'd definitely put in Harpy's Featherstorm. It's a blowout. It's literally a turn skip and a game win. But yeah, just a few interesting techs. So ladies and gents, that is it for the deck profile. Short and sweet today. Like I said, it's still a deck in construction. I just wanted to get a profile out to you guys and just have a little chat with you guys. Wish you guys a nice Christmas, and hopefully you have a prosperous new year. Ready for the Yu-Gi-Oh ban list, and fingers crossed, as long as the old C19 doesn't keep rearing its head, we'll have some more regionals to be able to attend. But anyway, we find ourselves at the end of another video. As always, if you did like this content, you know what to do by now. Hit that like button, share, subscribe, all of that beautiful good stuff, and I will definitely see you guys in the next video. Hope you enjoyed. Peace.